down low. He had a remix. He had the remix. Hello, one and all, and welcome to yet another episode of Not Between Sisters today, because I got my brother here. It's between family. Introducing everyone to baby brother Noel, aka Noe.
Greetings. Thanks for having me.
Yes, Noe is a part of another show that we have that is a debate game show that gets pretty what would you say, Noel?
Intense.
Yeah, it gets a little intense. But I decided to let him come on with the sisters because today's topics is a hot ass mess. To it. First things first is the R. Kelly trial.
It's tough.
It's tough
to speak about it because I was a diehard Kells fan. I own every some album or CD or stream. I have them all. So it's just like
you went to see him thrice.
3 times and stood for 2 hours at the House of Blues before he came on.
That was before I had the backiotomy.
Yes.
But anyway, a few days ago, one of R. Kelly's backup dancers testified in court that he had sexually abused Aaliyah when she was only about 13 or 14 years old. And she specifically pointed to having seen him performing a sexual act on Aaliyah, God rest her soul, while they were on a tour bus.
Yep.
He later illegally married the young pop icon when she was only 15 years old. So he has been accused of being the leader behind a criminal enterprise that preyed on young girls and turned them into victims of sex trafficking. For this, he's been charged of a single count of racketeering and 8 counts of violating interstate anti-sex trafficking laws. However, he has not been charged with or sexual assault. How do you feel about these revelations that have come out about dear Robert Sylvester?
First of all, I agree with Shauna. Like, I really was a big fan of R. Kelly. And I remember when Step in the Name of Love came out. At that moment, because a lot of stuff had came out of what he had done in the past. I remember being at weddings, family parties, and dancing to those songs, saying to myself, something ain't right. Like, this man has touched young girls. And at that time, I was already a mother of at least 1 or 2 girls. I have 3 daughters now. So back then, I was feeling a little funny about it, but I still was partying to the music because I was a big fan of R. Kelly. And my husband is a bigger fan of R. Kelly. Moving forward, when Lifetime came out with that documentary, and they had it was a 3-part series, right?
6-part.
It was a 6-part?
It was like 6 different
6-part.
Like, they made it where like they gave you all this information to the point it was like, okay, you know what, enough is enough. I can't support this dude anymore. To the point where it was a little sickening. And like the other day I was cleaning and I had on YouTube on my TV and I was playing Kelly Price when she was singing
with Mr. Biggs.
Mr. Biggs.
Oh yeah.
And then when he came on, I was like, no, I had to shut it off. Because I'm like, I can't listen to him no more. So I say all of that to say, I'm at the point where he needs to rot in hell. That's how I truly feel. Because I watched that 6-part documentary, that young lady that she was talking about, that I remember her discussing what they saw on that bus. And one of the things that bothered me was when they interviewed one of his brothers, I think it was the older brother said the first time when he got away with murder, he said to R. Kelly, look at what God did for you.
Right.
And R. Kelly said, no, look what my money did for me. And when the brother has said that, that's what R. Kelly said, I said, you know what, he needs to go to hell. So I have no remorse for the man. I don't feel no way sorry for him. There are people that are saying, well, some of the girls could be lying. I don't care if there's 20 girls that testified and 5 of them are lying. 15 of them are telling the truth. So regardless of what, if one person is telling the truth that they were touched or by R. Kelly or whatever it was, that they were underage having sex with him, he needs to rot in hell. That's my opinion.
Okay.
How you really feel. That's tell them how you really. I was like,
he's going away.
How do we feel about the revelations in court? But they're based on the fact that he's only being charged with financial crimes and not sexual assault.
Well, it's because they can only prove without a shadow of a doubt. They will only charge you with what they know that you can get convicted on. It's sort of something that he say, she say, but they can prove bank statements and some of those things.
But is it relevant to establishing his character, or is this just sensationalizing the whole process in court? Because
they
them
going to get him on whatever they can.
So throw whatever you can up on the wall and see if it sticks.
Whatever sticks.
Right.
Okay. Right. Whatever's sticking.
Right.
And don't forget, his money's working for him.
Oh yeah.
Does he still have money?
Well, that day when I played that YouTube video, he made a couple change.
Because his music is still up on like Amazon and stuff like that. Like it definitely went to shuffle the other day, and I was like, oh. I have mixed feelings about it. Like, because of the fact that we grew up with him. I love his writing. He wrote songs for Michael Jackson, everybody. It's so, I don't know if it's just me still being in shock. I still don't know how to feel about it, because it's like you love this person for his creativity and his talent and everything, but then when you see the other side, you're just like, we're like, no, I know.
We were rooting for you.
We were rooting for you. And so it's like, I'm still in shock about it, and I'm still in disbelief. Like, I don't even know how to really feel about it, because it's just like somebody that you admired for so long, and then you hear all of this stuff and you think of it could have been you or like anybody else, or what if it was your family member and stuff. So it's just like, I really don't know how to feel. Like I'm still in shock. Like, I'm still in disbelief of everything that's going on. Like, I'm still in the cloud about it.
Well, I mean, I kind of have a weird view on it. I don't think it's weird. I mean, it's not weird to me. I kind of just, let me start by saying this. I never saw the tape or anything of it. So I've always been like, I don't know if he did it. Everybody's like, no, it was him. I don't know, because I never saw it. Now, with all this extra stuff, really and truly, I got like 3 thoughts on it. Thought number 1, and I'll explain why. Is he being framed? Thought number 2, are we selective as a community with what we choose to vilify? And thought number 3, what the hell is going on with the system? And here's what I mean. I watched that 6-part documentary along with all the testimonies in this trial. There was a lot of people who were there witnessing what was happening. But as long as you're willing to stand in front of the camera and point at him, it's cool. But where was in the documentary, one dude was just like, yo, when we were at the house, there was this other girl here and she was doing this and this. Then I seen him at the club and he was here with this girl. Then I went over here to the studio and he had the setup and he was doing this. And I'm like, so you were just around. So why are we not talking to this guy? And then like Sparkle comes on like, oh, he was this and that and he was so bad and whatever. And my 14-year-old or 15-year-old niece was trying to sing at this. So you brought her to him knowing the kind of person he was. So what are we doing here? And why, like, not saying he's innocent.
Right.
Like, enough people say something at some point, it's kind of like something went wrong
Right.
somewhere.
Ain't right.
But for me, it's like everybody, like the girl with Aaliyah, I saw him doing this. Well,
you didn't see
in
her
my
do-
mind, it's like, what are you talking about that now for? She's not here to defend herself.
Right.
So why you didn't do anything? Well, he was doing this to this girl and this girl. So everybody saw was getting paid and figured it was cool.
Right.
But as long as they're willing to point the finger at the same person, it's all good for them. So for me, it's kind of like, what are we really like? Or is it just a selective thing? Like we're gonna let as long as they're willing to testify against him, they can go free. Because to me, even his
sure
ex-wife.
There are deals in place.
His ex-wife
sure. I am very sure that
they took a plea deal.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Like, did you watch that documentary? I mean, it was crazy. His ex-wife was in the documentary. Like, well, I was at the house and I saw this girl was this and she was over here and I heard this other one up here. All right, so what do we? So
she was the one that said that he was hog tying her.
So
nobody said anything.
Like I'm just confused by that.
You know, one thing I'm noticing in the flavor of a lot of celebrities is that they have an entourage around them that won't speak up, and that just seems like I don't care.
Enablers.
The enablers, like for example, Michael Jackson had an entourage around him where everyone had prescriptions written from their doctors, and each person was getting prescriptions filled for Michael Jackson under their own name. Every person in his entourage. So they did a lot of these celebrities, I don't care who it is, they deal with a lot of yes people around them. And when someone says no, they immediately kick them out their entourage. Yeah. So a lot of times they pick people who are poor, they pick people that really need them, they string them along by a thread for money. So a lot of times these people are in fear that they can't pay their bills or they're not gonna be able to eat because this celebrity is the one that's calling on the shots. And as soon as they say X, Y, and Z, they gotta get kicked out. All right, get out. You saying no, get out. So everybody becomes, okay, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am. And it's women too, women do it too.
No, that's true.
A lot of it has to do with money. Like
it's like you're selling your soul. You're selling your soul to the devil.
And
that's how it is.
Ain't enough money in the world where you can. Right. I can see you raping little girls, and it's just I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
Right.
All money ain't good money. I don't need that.
It was either the road manager, tour manager, assistant, somebody, a female, who now all of a sudden, I don't understand why now everybody crying. You know,
right?
Now everybody has a soul. You know, but back then. Not so much, but allegedly she said that that Robert made her write a letter stating that she stole from him, so that in the event that she was to ever sell him out, dime him out, he now has proof to say, well, look, this is what she did to me, so this is why she's saying this, because so now you can discredit her. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
People will do anything for money.
Right. That's what I said. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of crazy.
It's scary.
No, we have brought it up, but how do we really feel about them bringing Aaliyah into this situation when it was never established before she left this earth in the tragic way that she did, God rest her soul, that she had a sexual relationship with him? She never came out and said anything.
Right.
Her family has yet to this day say anything. So the fact that the defense thought to bring, not the defense, the prosecution thought to bring her name into it when you had a plethora of females.
Well, going back to what Shauna said, like the documentations don't lie. So the documentations of their marriage is on paper. So that right there sticks.
True.
So it's like if there's a trail, you follow it. And because hers is the only one
that has a
On
but
paper.
the whoever it was, the guy that was close with R. Kelly said that he was not aware that he went and faked Aaliyah's age so that he could get the marriage license.
It's 50-50 on whether I believe that or not. Because I understand why somebody would not tell somebody that they're going to do that. Like some things you just got to keep to yourself. But at the same time, it's like you knew everything else. I mean,
yeah,
right.
So that you can marry. Well, another interesting development from that trial was a testimony from a witness, a second male accuser. Under the pseudonym Alex, he recalled how Mr. Kelly recorded him having countless sexual encounters with women, which the R&B star often participated in. I thought it quite odd that when this gentleman, Alex, started recalling favors done to him by R. Kelly, that was the only time that R. Kelly came out of that blank stare and was like, he said that they first met when he was 16, but R. Kelly is said to have allegedly pressured the witness into when he was 20. I recall him talking to me and then forcefully kissing me and licking my face, Alex testified.
trying to get paid.
Jesus.
I mean, personally, when I heard that, I didn't believe it. Personally speaking, that's just me. But I mean, trying to get something. So
well, there was a young lady that testified. Well, she was on a this is before the documentary, way before the documentary. She had testified that she was having sex with R. Kelly when she was a teenager, and one day he said to her, "I have something else to show you about me." And he brought another man in the room, and the man gave him a BJ, oral pleasure, and R. Kelly kept looking at her to see what her reaction would be. So she said she was cringing on the inside, but of course she had to play it like, oh, that ain't nothing. So she basically played it off and was like, nah, you're good. But she did testify. She talked about this before the Lifetime documentary came out. So
well, then whose body was calling? Because now I'm confused.
And Noel, sidebar.
Keep it on the down low.
Noel, sidebar. I
did say keep it on the down low.
And he made like 6 of them joints too.
I was
down low, down low. He had a remix. He had
the remix.
I will say this, Noel. I was one of those people that bought that VCR tape for $5 in the street. And I took it home and I watched it with like a room full of people. And we all was like, that's him.
Is it? I didn't see. Is it?
Yeah.
Was it?
That's R. Kelly.
We actually watched it at Cho's house.
Yeah.
And we were just, but I honestly, when he kept saying that he didn't do it, I was like, he said he ain't do it.
Even after seeing the VCR tape?
Yes.
No, you didn't.
The tape was from a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
But he said it was his brother.
Don't forget.
Because when I remember when the tape came out, he had braids at that time because that was like the him and Jay-Z time.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons why I was like, nah, it ain't him. I'm like, he got braids now. But I didn't see it. So I don't know how old it was.
Real quick because prior to the tape coming out, he did like a spread in Sweats magazine and had different pictures of his house. So when I saw one of the rooms from Sweats magazine and the VCR tape, I clearly knew that was R. Kelly. It was that same room. And people were talking about that too.
How you know it was that room, Keish?
Because it was the same one in that magazine. I'm telling you. And people were talking about that too. They was like, yeah, that's because it was a distinct room. There was a room where it looked like he was like in a sauna. It was like wooden. It was wooden background. It was something. It was like the wall was wooden.
No, because I'm thinking like I was watching his videos when he was in the studio, and it's like all wood and sauna looking.
See?
Oh,
See? And he had, yup. Look,
Tape,
the one that
I really
the
never
part
saw
that
it.
pissed me off was when he was with the 14-year-old. I saw that one. Did you see that one, Kaya? When he was
I
with the
don't
14-year-old?
remember. It's been, I don't remember.
I
No.
saw this when
I remember, because I ain't never seen nobody get peed on their face. I'm sorry. And that was my first time seeing that.
Listen, he came out with Not Guilty. I was actually playing that in my car back when that dropped. Like it was like the national anthem. Jigga, Kelly. I was the beat was tight, you know.
You know what's interesting too, because right around that, I think that was when Nas and Jay-Z started having their little back and forth.
Yeah.
And Nas had made a statement like, so y'all mean to tell me that he's out here making albums with Jay-Z and Jay-Z don't know nothing and all this other stuff. And I was like, that's a good point. Now that I think about it, I'm like, he's on to something.
You just wanted to bring up Nas.
No, I'm just saying, it just made a lot of sense. Now it makes a lot of sense to me now. And he was just like, yo, they put out a whole album, recorded like 15, 16 songs. And they talking about this dude and these kids and whatever. And you're telling me that Jay-Z knows nothing. And they made this song because he referenced the Not Guilty song. And he was just like, so that was all just an accident. Now it could have been the whole, beef between him and Jay-Z or whatever. And he was just trying to go with that. But it's a lot of coincidences right now.
But there's a lot of people that said that they've worked closely with him. And they said that they haven't seen anything that would make them feel that he would be that type of person. But then there was something that not R. Kelly, that Nick Cannon said that was very, very, I was like, you're right, Nickadoodle. He said that R. Kelly has not been able to read. So mentally, and or educational wise, he is on a level of about a 13, 14, whatever, because he is unable to read. So he cannot have conversations with women that are very well versed, very educated, where he would be able to sound intelligent, even though his mind is brilliant artistically and creatively. Having a conversation about stocks, bonds, or about the latest New York Times article, he's unable to have those type of conversations. So he goes to what he's familiar with, where he's comfortable, and that's with younger individuals.
Let me get a toot toot, and let me get a beep beep. It's so bad. Oh my! I'm thinking about it. I'm just it is hurting my soul right now. I'm thinking about it like, what is happening?
Not to add insult to injury, but Yo-Yo was on an interview on a Breakfast Club, and she mentioned how she brought her daughter with her to R. Kelly's studio. Forgot how old her daughter was. She might have been like 19, 20 years old. And somehow he was able to give his number to the daughter. But how you like, what kind of respect level is that? And by this point, he was already well in his 40s. He done gave Yo-Yo's daughter.
Well, allegedly, he would pull up to the schoolyard.
The Pied Piper.
and wait around. But you going up to the schoolhouse
with a bag of McDonald's and chicken nuggets.
Shaking the bag.
You would have had me Capri Sun.
Would have had well. Beep beep toot toot.
Let me tell you, on the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, they said that mostly every song that he came out with was basically based on something that he went through with one of them.
Now I gotta rewatch this thing.
Now, I remember when they said that, and I was kind of like, one of the girls, when she was talking about it, and she was just like, what'd she say? She was like, yeah, his music, people have to rethink that because he's writing about us or whatever. And I didn't know if she meant it because she was kind of like, it came off to me like she was on some old, like, nah, it's about us, not anybody else. It's this, it's that. Like, I'm trying to make it sound as bad as it. I was kind of like, I don't really know. I didn't personally think that, but I mean, again, it's just all good. It's just all bad.
It is. But it's at the end of the day, it's like if your sister, like one of you or your brother, has to serve time, that doesn't stop the fact that that's still your sister or your brother, and you still care. So I think that's where he did it. He will serve time, but I still have this conflict, like, damn, man, I used to love you, yo. Like, why you do this to me? Like, why you didn't do it to me?
So is it possible to separate the two? Because let's think about it this way, right? Because everybody is up in arms at R. Kelly, and rightfully so, right?
Mhm.
But then you have an entire nation, well, half of a nation
That voted for Trump?
for someone that they heard say that he assaults women by grabbing them.
About it.
But you have an entire country that was just like, oh, he said, I move on them like a bitch. And when you're a celebrity, they let you do whatever you want. Grab him by the...
Mhm.
And they put him as the highest office in the land.
Yep.
Wanted to kill people over him.
Now, I'll be honest with you. I have absolutely separated the two because I'm not gonna lie, R. Kelly is in my playlist daily. Now, for me, as far as like other people go, I understand why people don't listen to him, but then it's kind of just like, well, for a lot of you white people, Elvis gotta go,
Mhm.
Michael Jackson gotta go. You know what I'm saying?
Jackson has not been... Tell
Look,
Keish.
I'm just simply saying, all right, if you want some kids around, I don't know, a theme park in your backyard seems like a good thing to have, and some giraffes and stuff. I'm saying it just makes sense. There's too many coincidences. Now,
I see.
but Michael Jackson's in my
Talk about
playlist
Michael.
daily.
That's all
You
I'm
know
saying. You
what I'm
can't talk about Michael.
I just look, I separate the two. Like, look, you can be good at your job and be a horrible person outside. Your boss could be beating his wife. You don't know that. He's good at work every day. It's just whatever. Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But it sounds horrible because you're like, he's such a terrible person. Well, look, you give up Fortunate by Maxwell and I Believe I Can Fly. And you know what I'm saying? You Are Not Alone. You go ahead and give that stuff up. It's in my playlist. I don't have to like him as a person. I don't know him. I'm never going to know him. And I'm never buying his albums and anything like that again. But, you know, what's out there is out there. And it's kind of like, are you going to ask all you
money in his pocket moving forward?
Yeah, like, are you going to...
Oh, yeah, of course.
Like they were talking about, well, Drake gave R. Kelly a writing credit. How dare he? It's like, look, the influence on music is too strong for that to never happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just, what are you going to do? Like, it's there. It's out there in the world. There's nothing. You can't take it back. Artists can't take the songs that they've recorded back. There's nothing you can do about that. Now, it's just a matter of going forward. But, I mean, the hypocrisy of the world that we live in right now is insane.
And that's the only thing I'm saying. Are we going to now, because we have R. Kelly to this day say he ain't do it. He don't know how to hog tie.
That's what kills me. Like, he don't admit to nothing.
No,
like,
I don't know how to hog tie.
He ain't do nothing. But we heard audio.
But it's a difference.
They got
One
where are
is
you?
black.
They got
one
audio
is
of this?
white. It's different.
Of the grab him by the pussy.
Oh, okay. Got you.
He's black. He's white. Two total. It's not.
It's not.
This dude was president with like 30 rape cases.
Exactly.
He don't pay taxes. He's out here raping chicks.
Right.
Like,
He don't pay that.
like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah. But see, and
Half the country. Half.
He got 70 million votes.
But let's be honest, when it comes to children and when it comes to our children, it's like, what? And then when it comes to black children, females, it's like, next news cycle. You know what I'm saying? It was never something that was prevalent in the news cycle.
Right.
Like, we would talk about it for a little bit and then it would be like, okay, next thing. But now that social media is what it is, because I was following him on social media.
Who's this? Trump?
No, Robert Sylvester.
Oh, yeah, I follow him too.
Years ago. And he kept on saying, they just trying to discredit me. They just trying to discredit me. Now, can't that many people be saying,
Oh yeah, no.
And that's the part that I admired in a joking way. Like he was never humbled through the whole process. Like
never.
He sincerely believed himself that he never did it. And I'm like, you must have an alter ego or a twin or something.
Yeah, R. Kelly and then Robert Sylvester.
His older brother, the one that was in jail during the documentary, like he kept it all the way real when he was talking. Like, because people were just like, yo, his brother is so like raw. And it was just like, nah, he's just being honest. Like, look, like he got molested and all types of stuff when he was young. He was exposed to this when he was young. Like, dude's messed up. He can sing though. He just kept it
exactly.
like
But see, that's just the thing. Most creative people, most people that are that creative on that level, their brain, the logical thinking of their brain is not there because it's all mushed in with the creativity. It just took over the whole brain.
This whole thing.
This whole thing. The logic is not there. So if it is true that he is having people eat their own feces and smush it upon their faces.
And again, people witness this to tell the story, and nobody like I don't understand. And a part of me is just like, yo, you can't sit around forever every day and be like, yo, he's doing some wild stuff today, right? Yeah. Like, what are you do? Like, what are we doing? And then it's like you bring these people to court, and it's just like, all right, he's gonna testify. Please tell us. Well, on Monday, so I was on the couch, and him and the girl came downstairs, and then they started fighting, and then I was like, damn. And it was just like, and I'm sitting here like, he's telling you what happened, play by play. Nobody sees a problem with this stuff. And then everybody's like,
what part did you play in this?
Everybody's like, R. Kelly's
now,
so
what
bad.
was you doing?
Which he is, but it's just like, where were you at though? Like,
did you try to tell him that's not right?
Right. Did you say something? Like,
but they never asked that question. That question never comes up.
Because they got a deal.
That's why
they got a deal.
They won't let us be in court. They won't let them take the cameras in the court because number one, I know that the safety of some of the people that testify would be in jeopardy.
Oh, definitely.
There are grown men and women that stood idly by
and did nothing.
And I was kind of annoyed with some of the parents too, because they were in there talking about, oh, well, he took my daughter. He took your daughter at when? Because you literally just said you drove your daughter to his house.
Right.
So I'm confused. So he took your daughter when the money ran out, or he took your daughter in the beginning? Because where are we at with this right now? And she wouldn't come home. All right. So look, if my kid is at R. Kelly's house and you're telling me that you can't leave, that means I have to now come to R. Kelly's house and regular. Like, what are we doing right now? Like, we don't know where she's at.
And surviving R. Kelly, the parents, there was the parents that went to the warehouse that he had in Chicago, and they wouldn't let them in.
So you wouldn't let me in, and my child is in there.
And the cops were not able to help them either because it was.
You were able to do, I think, wellness checks.
Yes.
And it was like, okay, your child is fine.
Mm-hmm. Bye, Mom. Bye, Dad. I'm staying here. But now that the money is running out for the two young ones, a lot of people gonna need counseling.
Because even in the documentary when they were talking about, I think the girl in the video, that was Sparkle's niece, right?
Yes.
So, and I thought this was weird. And the one that I don't know how many videos there are, but I think the one video that came out a long time ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And in the documentary, they had this girl's face plat. Now they blurred out her face, but it's like she has on a high school basketball jersey with the school name and other people in the pictures. Like, I'm sure everybody who's in that area knows who it is or whatever the case may be. I don't know, it just seemed so suspect. And then after the thing, one girl released a book, Sparkle released a new song or album or something the next day after the documentary aired. Everybody was just trying to me, when people start doing extra stuff after that, it's just like, all right, what do we do?
No, I looked at other interviews with Sparkle, and I really felt bad for Sparkle because to this day she's suffering indirectly with her family because I don't know if you guys were aware. I think they mentioned in the documentary that the niece's father was his drummer or his guitarist in the band. So the father worked with R. Kelly. And so they had to get one of the teammates on the basketball team to come to court to say that that's that little girl because the family wouldn't come and testify that that was a little girl.
I remember that.
And so Sparkle said, like, after that, she was kind of ostracized from the family.
I remember her saying that
because she was verbal and saying that's my niece, and the family was mad at her for testifying that that was the niece. And so she said, literally, it drew a line between her and the family. She said the only time they got together, I think, was when the mother died. And she said when they all got together, everybody was cool. But then she said when the documentary came out, the 6-part documentary, that's when everybody started pushing her away again. So she don't have family off of this.
That Jen was one of the commercials. Sparkle, new song. Go play it on Spotify or whatever. I was just like, really?
In other words,
you had like 2 of the other girls were on the Breakfast Club. It's like, oh, I got a book coming out and all this other stuff. I was like, this is real. Like, you couldn't do this at another time. Like, you're doing this now. Like, you came here to talk about the documentary, not your book. No disrespect to your book. No doubt you wrote a book. That's fantastic, but just seems like bad timing. But I digress.
Well, obviously, we're going to definitely be keeping an eye on this whole Kel situation.
Right.
Because it's something that directly affects our community. So, you know, whether he is acquitted or he gets
I doubt it.
to however many years, I hope he gets the help he needs too. Because clearly,
He needs
He need help.
he out here fighting demons.
He need help.
fighting for his life. That's what he said.
Yeah, he fighting for his life. Yep.
He can't
Solitary.
be in Gen Pop.
I mean, he was trying to get out because of COVID when he got real bad in jail. He tried to get out. He was like, hell to
The
no.
crazy thing about it is his trial is in Brooklyn. Like, that's a crazy thing. Like, I be wanting to drive by Court Street.
But
Look, isn't it like,
because
oh, it is? I didn't know that.
the finances led them here.
So it's not even about the girls,
No,
about the money.
always about the money. And do whatever, but you never mess with the money.
Facts.
Don't ever mess with the money.
Well, R. Kelly has left a string of injured individuals. His children, the children that he was messing with,
Yeah.
allegedly, and all of the people in his circle.
Crazy.
Did you see after the documentary, the ex-wife, the hogtied one, was in a car driving somewhere with her friend,
Listen to
R. Kelly music? That's my baby daddy. That's my baby daddy. And I was just like, this nigga here, what? And those are the things that I look at that and I'm just like, all right.
But
I know
she said this
he's
is
not
the
innocent.
children, this is her the father of her children. So
I get it.
Always going to.
I get it.
They came down on her for that.
But if this is the father, then you shouldn't have been in the documentary.
Right.
Yeah, because she was crying too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because she was like, oh, he can't read. So I know he can't manage his money and he can't do this and he can't do this. He's not booking flights and hotels and all this other stuff. So somebody's helping him. Like, all right.
Oh, you just answered your own question.
Right.
Oh, Father. Well, speaking of help, Texas need all the help that they can get right now. Because the governor...
Who's it, Abbott? Is it Abbott? No, Abbott's the one that's...
Gregory Abbott?
Yeah, something like that.
You read my mind. Anyway, this dude is an idiot. And I'm going to tell you why. This sucker in Texas has a Republican governor, has worked tirelessly to disenfranchise people in the state of Texas that are not of his hue and status in life. And not only that, he has since passed an abortion law for Texas, countering the Roe v. Wade decision of the Supreme Court. There's so many layers to this that goes from the Supreme Court to the White House to packing the court. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of stuff that's included in this particular thing. But basically, they're saying that a woman can no longer have abortions within Texas unless she is 6 weeks or less pregnant.
Yeah, no heartbeat is detected or something like that.
Yes, it's the heart. They calling it the heartbeat law. Now, because of the fact that most of the people that were in on this law have never had a period, never had a menstrual cramp, never had heavy flows, never had to go buy tampons and maxi pads and throwing up every month because of something that you get just because you are a female. Never had a miscarriage. Never had endometriosis, never had adenomyosis. These suckers felt it all right to sit and create a law for women being 6 weeks or less pregnant, and they don't even know the cycle of women are sometimes a little off. So a lot of women don't know they're pregnant until like the 7th or 8th week. I digress. Y'all go ahead because this is pissing me off. Every time I think about
And he
it,
also,
it's like a rapey culture.
they didn't include rape and incest are not
No.
exempt. So
Right.
that's very weird to me.
No, he said we're gonna get rid of the rapist.
Yeah. I mean, I personally have my own like kind of like long-winded thoughts on it. It's all right.
Go
Go
ahead.
do tell.
So-
That's what I'm saying. Go do tell.
So I think why they're doing this. So just to like equate it to something. So now, like, in order to get a job, it's like you got to have a master's degree and a PhD, and getting a job is ridiculously hard. Now, in my eyes, getting a job is only hard and they require more because Black people are starting to catch up.
Mhm.
So Black people are catching up, they're getting bachelors, they're getting masters, they're going beyond that. So now it's time to start moving the goalpost.
Mhm.
And you're moving the goalpost because you're trying to halt progress. To me, he's doing the same thing in Texas, which is more of like an exertion of dominance, not only over people, but women are starting to catch up.
Mhm.
And you can halt that by taking them out of. So let's see, like, woman finds out she's pregnant, you know, in that first couple of weeks, if she's having like, if she's very sick or whatever the case would be, she might miss some days or whatever from work. Over time, she's going to stop going to work. And even if she's at work, as she's, you know, as she moves through her pregnancy, she's just going to be less and less work until she's out on maternity leave. That's slowing down somebody's progress indirectly. And if you do that to pretty much every woman in the state of Texas, you're taking a lot, especially like in America, maternity leave. I mean, the benefits aren't even all that great.
Right.
So it's like you're killing opportunity indirectly. Well, directly, but you're doing it in an indirect way. But I personally feel like that's the target. Like, look, because you can't sue the woman for having an abortion, but you can sue probably her boyfriend if he takes her to like people who aid and abet or anybody that facilitates or assists in abortion. So it's not so much that you can't have the abortion, but anybody who helps you get one can be sued
Mhm.
by regular people who see you do it, which makes absolutely no sense. So it's kind of like, I'm not saying you can't do it, but I'm going to make it very hard for you to do it. And the people who can do it probably aren't going to want to. Like, nobody's going to risk their life. So it's kind of just an indirect way of white men in America feeling that women are catching up And it's not like you can tell a woman you can't have kids and you can't do this or you can't do anything, whatever the case may be. So I'm just going to make things difficult for you, directly, indirectly. Because in my personal opinion, I don't feel a woman like just because it's men. I'll just give my man view on abortion or whatever the case may be.
Give your man view, please.
I don't think a woman owes a man like, oh, you have to have this baby, or you shouldn't, or you don't have, like, she doesn't owe him anything. The only thing I've ever felt that people, when a woman is pregnant, that is owed is if you want to get an abortion or if you want to keep the kid, you owe each other a conversation about that, because there would be no baby without the two of you.
Right.
That is it. At the end of the day, if she wants to get it, she's gonna get it. Just have the discussion, because that's all she owes you is the discussion.
Right.
If you say yes and she says no, you don't have to carry the baby. It's still her body, or whatever's going to happen. She's going to have, like, she gets to make that executive decision. Right. That's all that's owed. I don't understand what the big deal about it is, and why. I don't even understand how they sat around and made this a law. It doesn't even make sense. Like, it doesn't even affect. I mean, if they're in the situation, whatever, it'll affect you. If you as the man are a part of it with your woman and you care, it'll affect you. But I don't think any of these dudes care about that. So to me, it's just a real kind of like a disgusting exertion of dominance over women that just doesn't make sense. And I feel like he's only doing it to women because women are rising.
No, well, I like because I never thought about it from that angle. So that's really deep. I like your opinion. We had discussed this on another show, and I had mentioned how around that time I was listening to The Breakfast Club, and Charlemagne had touched on it, and he said he was sitting there meditating, like, what would make a group of white men want to make this kind of law? And he said the answer he got within himself was that because it's known that by such and such a year, the white race will be the minority.
Yes. I think that's what that is.
They need to make sure that the white race is not a minority.
Yep.
In turn, with their goal is to make sure that every white woman that gets pregnant, whether she's raped or not, and also too, the more white kids that are born, the more of a chance you have more Republicans that are born. So it's like rolling the dice and hoping that, okay, yeah, you're gonna get more minorities that are born because, you know, they're having babies too, but we definitely can't have this white race. And they probably looked at the statistics of how many white women have abortions each year. And I'm pretty sure that their numbers are very high compared to other races. So their thing is like, you know, I agree with you, and I think it's probably a pot full of stuff why they doing this, because in 2021, I feel like we're back in like 1913. Like, really, like, you guys are discussing this now,
right?
We're trying to move forward.
Well, old white men are the only people who don't know anything about racism other than how to be racist. Women understand what sexism, racism, and all of this stuff. Black men understand that. Old white men are the only people in America who have never experienced any kind of discrimination or racism or anything else. They've always been in power.
Right.
But now they are the most injured party out of everyone within the
because I mean, with black people, black people are 450 years behind. Like, they got a 450-year head start. And they can see clearly, look, you got a 450-year head start. And let's say, but somewhere in what year did Martin Luther King die? 68?
68.
All right. So since 1968, let's just say if that was the point where, which it clearly wasn't, that, racism and all those, discrimination against black people ended. So was that 55 years or so, or something, give or take, somewhere 50 some years from now?
Mm-hmm.
Black people are catching up. Clearly, if this race was even, I personally believe we would be ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they're looking at it like, they've caught up in 50 years with a 450-year head start.
Yes.
You got to do something.
And they're afraid that we'll do to them
when
Mhm.
they did that.
Yes.
To us.
Yes.
We
That's
just
definitely
want
for sure.
equality. We don't want revenge.
Because
Yeah,
if we
like-
wanted revenge, you would
I
have
like
been
that.
had
Y'all would
that.
have been got wiped.
But that's why most of them got guns in their home. Because they know if there was not an ounce of guns on this earth, who, like, come on now. Let me stop.
But you see how they changed the law with the guns too in Texas. Texas is just a different state. Texas
Well-
was also the last state to end slavery. That's why we celebrate Juneteenth today, because Texas was like, nope. They saw that
You gonna
proclamation.
stay there and work for free in my house, damn it.
They saw that proclamation from Abe, and they was like, that don't apply to us.
But
To white people, black people walking around look like Jenga. Literally.
Yeah.
Like they are afraid. Like, wait, they free? Like he's free? Like, yeah, just like you. Like we are a bunch of Jengos to them.
Yeah. Yes.
And you can't control us.
Yes. But they
but
tried.
Texas
They tried.
is purple.
Texas,
Now.
if they didn't gerrymander those districts, Texas
Right.
would be blue.
Yeah. So they're afraid. Them the border state. So
Oh yeah, they got mad people over from Mexico. Like,
Right.
please, I gotta get it.
so they are afraid that they won't be the head soon. That is what it all boils down to. They are scared. They are about to be the minority, and it is scaring them half to death.
And it makes sense why it would be Texas. Texas is a huge state.
It's a
Huge.
huge state. So they
Like
are
when you can
really
get on a
scared.
plane and
And it
fly
feel like
for 3
hell.
hours in the same state.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes perfect sense why they would pass. Now that I think about why they would pass some kind of law like this in that kind of state, because the effect it would have is
the
crazy.
weather is hot as hell. They
Yeah.
they 2 steps from being in hell. That's how hot that
Yeah.
crap is.
Yeah.
That's why they make hell decisions.
But see, this is how a lot of the Christians, because we spoke about this before in a different show, and how Christians I actually stopped talking to friends that I've had for years because I know that they voted for Trump.
Me too.
And Republicans, they purposely did so much underhanded things to make sure that that court was stacked with Brett that had child sexual assault charges or cases and was not taken seriously. And the accuser, but she was very, very believable. Then you put Amy Coney Barrett there, who's only been a judge for 2 years, and she has a lifetime appointment, and you only got 2 years experience.
Mm-hmm.
You need more experience at McDonald's than to be a
damn
manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got a lifetime appointment, and you only been on the job for 2 years.
Yeah, I was thinking about running for president. No joke.
That's what I said. I said before. I was like, I want to run. Really? Anybody could do it.
I know. I'd be like, well, Trump did it.
Like,
Right.
read me a little book, Presidency for
stop.
Dummies or something.
You know what I'm saying?
If Trump could do it, I could do it.
Oh,
Should write
Trump
a
did it.
book.
You know, we have Barnes and Noble talk about. Excuse me, y'all got that
Right.
book, that Presidency for Dummies? Is that in self-help?
Shoot,
Is that in the self-help aisle?
gotta do something. It's crazy, man. I don't understand it personally.
Texas is a different state, but I really believe that the governor, you know how you ever be thinking about stuff and you'd be like, God, when are you gonna smite these? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, come on.
Like when
When
are
is it
they
gonna
gonna
happen,
be
Lord?
spited? Jesus,
Yeah.
you
Like
know?
send the lightning now.
Now.
Wow.
Send the rain.
This
Because
is
it's
the
just like,
time.
y'all, you can't be that evil, because y'all saw that video I sent y'all, right?
Yes.
Of these Republicans saying how if it's rape, you know, women might as well just give into it, then it may be
And enjoy it.
pleasurable.
What shit is that?
What?
What planet are we on?
And these are our elected officials saying stuff like this. And that's why I feel like, and you talk about you going to stop all the rapes, but Texas has the highest rate of rapes in the country.
And it's from men that they know.
Yes, and it's from somebody that is familiar.
It is not
It's not like Joey in the back.
like man in the bush.
Talking.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
It's not that.
It's not that. It's somebody
It's not that.
that is trying to get it in. And you talk about you going to stop all the rapes. No, what you're doing to females in Texas is rape.
Mhm.
You're taking away their choice.
Yep.
Why are they so concerned about it?
Right.
Because they have to remain in power.
Well, yeah.
And they
That's
can't
what
say
it
that
all
they
boils
cannot
down to.
say that they love the children. Because they not going to be there when if that mother does not have money to pay for her child care or her diapers or her milk. They're not going to be like, well, here.
It's so
let us
weird.
help
Like,
you.
I honestly can't figure out, because women, you can get pregnant in a multitude of ways. I mean, one, the fact that incest and rape are not exempt doesn't make sense. But even if like people are having sex and they're protected, condoms break, they slip off, things happen.
Right.
Like people aren't always, obviously, I mean, sex is obviously for pleasure. People ain't trying to get pregnant.
No, they don't feel that sex for a woman is for pleasure. It is for you to procreate. A lot. Maybe Tony Barrett believed that.
Bring
It's
these white
obligation.
babies into the world.
Be fruitful and multiply.
Mhm.
That's what you get for voting for these peoples. Hopefully, Biden get his big boy drawers on, and
I like him, but he be scaring me sometimes, man.
Yep.
Like he be looking at the camera, and I'd be like, "Is he about to pass out?" Like I just can't figure it out, because he's like, even when he was doing the interview, I think he was in the Middle East, and he was sitting down. He was just like, I couldn't figure out what was happening. And he's, even though like he reads well, but the fact that I know he reads well is the problem, because he be looking at the teleprompter and it's just like,
He's always like this.
and I'm like, yo,
listen,
really?
it's the eyes. It's the eyes, because I know my eyes I be having a hard time seeing stuff too. Don't do that. Don't do that to him. But
nah, I like him, and I think
no,
he makes,
we somewhat like him, but he ain't him and Kamala ain't holding up their end of the bargain. We got them in office. You better recognize. I know you got a pandemic. I know you got Delta. I know you got United Airlines. I know you got
Afghanistan.
You got all of this stuff going on. However, you had time to sign in the bill for the Stop Asian Hate.
Right.
Girl.
There it is.
So make some time in that schedule in between you taking dodging questions about Afghanistan and forcing people to get vaccinated.
We still have lots to discuss, so don't you move. Stay tuned for scenes from the next episode of Between Family.
and then he had spit that wild loogie into his hand. That was the first thing that I saw, and in that moment, I was just like, good.
This ain't for me. This ain't for me.